If survival horror is your thing, this list is for you. Today we're diving into 15 underrated survival horror movies that flew under the radar but are definitely worth watching. And if you're here for more horror, make sure to like and subscribe. Number 15, Paradise Lost.
Hello? Hola.
They robbed us.
What did they take?
Our money, our credit cards, our passports, everything.
A group of young travelers backpacking through Brazil find their dream trip turning into a nightmare after a bus accident leaves them stranded in a remote coastal region. At first, the hidden paradise seems like a blessing. Crystal waters, untouched beaches, and welcoming locals. But the beauty quickly fades as strange events begin to unfold around them. Their belongings disappear, the locals grow increasingly hostile, and the group realizes they may have wandered into a place where tourists don't always leave. As fear spreads and escape becomes uncertain, they uncover a terrifying reality hidden beneath the surface of this tropical paradise. Directed by John Stockwell, Paradise Lost blends survival horror with psychological tension, turning a beautiful destination into a place where trust disappears and danger waits behind every friendly smile. Number 14, Downrange. What begins as a simple road trip turns into a nightmare when a group of friends become stranded on a desolate stretch of highway after their car suddenly blows a tire. At first, the situation seems like bad luck, until a bullet shatters the silence and they realize someone is shooting at them from a distance. Trapped behind their vehicle with nowhere to run and no way to see the shooter clearly, panic slowly turns into desperation. As time passes, injuries mount, fear spreads, and the group begins to break under the pressure of an unseen enemy who never misses. Directed by Ryuhei Kitamura, Downrange is a tense survival horror that turns an open road into a deadly trap. Number 13, Hell. In a world scorched by a dying sun, water has become the most valuable resource left on Earth, and survival depends on staying one step ahead of desperation. A small group of survivors travels through a burned, empty landscape searching for food, water, and safety. But the real danger isn't the heat or the ruined world. It's the people who are still alive. As they move from abandoned towns to silent highways, they realize they are being watched and possibly hunted. Trust becomes dangerous, and every decision could lead them closer to safety or straight into a trap. Directed by Tim Fehlbaum, Hell is a bleak survival horror thriller that creates constant tension through isolation, scarcity, and the terrifying idea that when the world ends, the real threat may not be the environment. Number 12, Burning Bright. A young woman and her autistic brother find themselves trapped inside their home during a violent hurricane. But the storm outside is not the worst of their problems. Unknown to them, a massive tiger has been released inside the house, turning their supposed shelter into a deadly maze. With windows boarded, doors locked, and the storm cutting off any chance of escape, the siblings must move quietly through dark rooms and narrow hallways, while the animal stalks them from the shadows. Burning Bright is a claustrophobic survival thriller that turns an ordinary home into a terrifying cage where survival depends on silence, patience, and staying one step ahead of a relentless predator. Number 11, Backcountry. A couple sets out on a camping trip deep into the wilderness, hoping for a peaceful getaway far from the noise of the city. As they hike deeper into the forest, their surroundings grow quieter, more isolated, and strangely unsettling. When they realize they may be lost and possibly not alone in the vast wilderness, their trip quickly turns into a fight for survival. Tension builds as strange sounds echo through the trees and signs of a large animal begin to appear around their campsite. With no signal, no help, and miles of forest in every direction, fear slowly takes control as they realize nature is far more dangerous than they expected. Directed by Adam McDonald, Backcountry is a survival horror that turns the beauty of the wilderness into a terrifying place where humans are no longer at the top of the food chain. Number 10, Frozen. A weekend ski trip turns into a nightmare when three friends become stranded on a chairlift high above a snowy mountain after the resort suddenly shuts down for the week. Left hanging in the freezing air with no way to climb down safely and no one aware they are still on the lift, they are forced to face the brutal cold, rising panic, and the terrifying height below them. As hours pass and hope of rescue fades, the situation becomes more desperate, forcing them to make impossible decisions to survive. The silence of the empty mountain and the endless white landscape make their isolation even more terrifying. Directed by Adam Green, Frozen is a minimalist survival horror thriller that turns a simple ski trip into a terrifying fight against nature, fear, and time. Number 9. Alone.
People think they can hide it, but they can't.
After losing her husband, a grieving woman decides to relocate and start over, driving alone across the country with everything she owns packed into a small trailer. Along the way, she encounters a quiet but unsettling man on the highway, whose polite demeanor hides something far more dangerous. What begins as a series of uncomfortable encounters soon turns into a terrifying pursuit when she realizes she is being followed through empty roads, forests, and isolated towns where help is hard to find. Directed by John Hyams, Alone is a tense survival road thriller that builds fear through isolation, silence, and the terrifying realization that sometimes the most dangerous place to be is completely alone. Number 8. Them. A young couple living in a quiet, isolated house in the countryside begin to notice strange noises outside late at night. Distant footsteps, knocking sounds, and shadows moving beyond the windows. At first it seems like animals or imagination, but the disturbances grow more deliberate and more threatening. Soon they realize someone is outside, watching them, testing the doors, and slowly closing in on the house. What follows is a long night of fear, confusion, and survival as the couple tries to understand who is tormenting them and why. Directed by David Moreau, Them is a tense home survival horror that uses silence, darkness, and isolation to create a constant feeling of fear. Number 7. Dangerous Animals. A free-spirited surfer traveling along the Australian coast accepts an invitation for a day of adventure on a boat with a charming but mysterious tour operator who specializes in shark encounters. What begins as an exciting day on the ocean slowly turns into something far more sinister as she realizes the trip was never meant to bring her back to shore. Isolated at sea with no way to call for help, she must stay calm and look for any opportunity to escape while trapped with someone whose obsession with predators goes far beyond fascination. Directed by Sean Byrne. Dangerous Animals is a tense survival thriller that turns the open sea into a floating prison where trust is deadly and survival depends on patience and timing. Number 6. A Perfect Getaway.
Authorities are searching for a man and a woman. Oh, what do you think?
A newlywed couple travels to the remote Hawaiian Islands for what is supposed to be the perfect honeymoon, filled with hiking, beaches, and adventure far from crowded tourist spots. Along the way, they meet other travelers and decide to hike a secluded trail together, but rumors begin to spread about a pair of killers targeting tourists on the islands. As the group continues deeper into the wilderness, suspicion quietly grows and everyone begins to question who they can trust. Friendly conversations start to feel like interrogations, and every strange comment or unexpected behavior raises new fears. Directed by David Tohey, A Perfect Getaway is a psychological horror thriller set in beautiful but isolated landscapes, where paranoia spreads slowly and the real danger may be walking right beside you the entire time. Number 5. Hush. A deaf writer living alone in a secluded house in the woods has built a quiet life for herself, far away from the noise of the world. But her peaceful isolation becomes a nightmare when a masked stranger appears outside her window and realizes she cannot hear him. What follows is a tense game of survival as she must rely on sight, intelligence, and careful planning instead of sound to stay alive. With no neighbors nearby and no easy way to call for help, every movement becomes a life or death decision. Directed by Mike Flanagan, Hush is a minimalist home invasion horror that builds tension through silence, isolation, and vulnerability, turning a quiet home into a terrifying battleground where survival depends on intelligence and staying calm under pressure. Number 4. Calibre.
Everything I did here.
Two lifelong friends travel to a remote village in the Scottish Highlands for a weekend hunting trip, hoping to escape their everyday lives and enjoy a quiet getaway in the wilderness. But after a shocking accident deep in the forest, their trip takes a dark and irreversible turn. Panic sets in as they try to decide what to do, and a single mistake begins to spiral into a chain of terrible decisions. Back in the village, the locals are friendly but watchful, and the two friends begin to feel like they are being quietly observed wherever they go. Directed by Matt Palmer, Calibre is a tense psychological thriller about guilt, consequences, and how one moment can change everything forever. Number 3. Jungle. A young traveler joins a small group of adventurers on a journey deep into the Amazon rainforest, searching for remote villages and an experience far from civilization. What begins as an exciting expedition quickly becomes a nightmare when the group becomes lost in the vast jungle, where heavy rain, dangerous terrain, and lack of food slowly wear them down. As tensions rise and the group separates, the jungle becomes an unforgiving maze filled with injuries, exhaustion, and the constant fear of what might be hiding in the darkness around them. Alone and struggling to survive, he must push himself beyond his limits to stay alive in one of the most dangerous environments on Earth. Directed by Greg McLean, Jungle is a survival thriller that shows how quickly adventure can turn into a desperate fight to stay alive. Number 2. Run. A teenage girl who has spent her entire life homeschooled and isolated due to multiple medical conditions begins to question the reality of her sheltered world. Raised by an overprotective mother who controls every aspect of her life, she starts to notice small inconsistencies that slowly grow into terrifying suspicions. As she secretly searches for answers, she realizes that the truth about her life may be far darker than she ever imagined. Trapped in a house where every door, phone call, and medication is controlled, she must use her intelligence and determination to uncover the truth and find a way to escape. Number 1. Send help.
Just like I was. Although I'm betting.
After a private jet crashes on a remote island, two survivors find themselves stranded with limited supplies, no communication, and no clear hope of rescue. At first, survival seems simple, but the isolation quickly begins to affect their judgment and trust in each other. As days turn into weeks, tension grows, secrets begin to surface, and the psychological strain of survival becomes just as dangerous as the environment around them. Directed by Sam Raimi, Send Help is a survival horror thriller that focuses on isolation, paranoia, and the fragile line between cooperation and conflict, showing how quickly survival can turn into a psychological battle when there is no escape and no one else coming. Here are 4 other movies you have to see. Sweetheart. A woman washes ashore on a deserted island after a boating accident and quickly realizes she may not be completely alone. As she struggles to survive with limited resources, strange signs begin to appear around the island, especially at night. Isolation, fear, and the unknown slowly begin to wear down her sense of safety. The film focuses on survival, loneliness, and the terrifying feeling of being watched in a place where no help is coming. The Gray.
One at a time. I want to see your face, feel your hands in mine.
Don't stop!
After a plane crash in the Alaskan wilderness, a group of oil workers must work together to survive the freezing temperatures and harsh environment. Led by a skilled hunter, they attempt to find their way back to civilization while facing injuries, fear, and the unforgiving landscape. As their journey continues, nature proves to be more dangerous than they expected. The film is a tense survival story about fear, leadership, and the human instinct to stay alive against impossible odds. Hunted. A woman accepts a ride from a seemingly friendly stranger, but the situation quickly turns dangerous, forcing her to escape into a vast forest. Injured, exhausted, and alone, she must navigate the wilderness while being pursued by someone who refuses to stop hunting her. The deeper she runs into the forest, the more the environment becomes both her enemy and her only chance of survival. The film blends survival horror and psychological tension as the chase becomes a brutal test of endurance and willpower. I Am Legend.
If anyone is out there, please.
In a nearly abandoned New York City, a scientist believes he may be the last human survivor after a global catastrophe wipes out most of humanity. Spending his days searching for supplies and his nights hiding from dangerous creatures that roam in the dark, he continues working on a possible cure. Loneliness and routine slowly shape his daily life as he holds on to hope that other survivors may still exist. The film is a post-apocalyptic survival story about isolation, hope, and the need for human connection in a silent world.